Currently, education faces a similar situation. The latest advances in technology, such as distance learning, web tutorials, and the emergence of digital textbooks, have given birth to a wonderful rise in interactive learning. Students have more opportunities to learn and apply material they learn in the classroom outside in their own environment. Such innovation is becoming increasingly necessary as the professional world becomes more competitive and more demanding. Because within the last decade, educational technology has rapidly become popular, we have to ask ourselves, are we using these new methods effectively? It's the same as getting into a car and driving without reading the owner's manual. In order to use these new tools effectively, we must first understand who is using them and how he or she is interpreting them. In short, we need a better understanding of the learning process and the student who is actually learning. This presentation will discuss theories on how students learn and how educators can develop new education models through experience with technology and community to form an effective unified curriculum for students with different levels of learning abilities. Cindy and Rob are best friends taking the same algebra course in high school. The third period bell rings and the two friends take their seat next to each other to chat for a few minutes before the teacher begins to collect the assignment from the night before. Cindy explains to Rob that she is excited to turn in her algebra homework. She spent 2 hours trying to make sense of the equation and finally solved it before running out of pencil. Rob blankly looks at her and poses a half smile, which prompts Cindy to ask how Rob managed with the seemingly impossible math problem. Rob looks down at his desk, fidgets, and tells her he forgot his notebook today, so he can't submit the work. He nonchalantly dismisses her worry that he will receive a failing grade for the assignment, and remains quiet until class actually begins. Rob's problem was not that he forgot his homework, but that upon his first brief attempt to solve the equation the night before, he quit, thinking if it didn't come naturally, then he couldn't do it at all. Stanford University professor Carol Dweck delivered the keynote speech at the 2009 Scottish Learning Festival. Her lecture, How Praise Can Harm and How to Use It Well, described the student mindset in two different categories, fixed and growth. Dweck describes the student with the growth mindset enjoys the learning process and wants to learn. He or she accepts a mistake or setback in effort and works harder to overcome such impediments. The student with a growth mindset may not necessarily be the best student academically, but understands that with perseverance comes success. Generally, these students are not a red flag for teachers. However, it is the student with the fixed mindset that is cause for concern. A student with a fixed mindset believes that intelligence should come naturally. If the question can't be answered instantly and accurately, then this is an indicator of stupidity. Dweck notes that the fixed student thinks looking clever is most important. Simply put, if you don't have it, don't bother trying. Dweck's theories propose a new way we can look at students and make their education more student-centric to boost academic success. Students with the fixed mindset seem to fear process as a result of not understanding it at all. Those who habitually quit and fail with their work eventually give up on education altogether. Sadly, the United States Department of Education estimates that 582,360 students collectively in grades 9 through 12 gave up on education in 2007. Educators need to focus on why students abandon their studies and how we can keep them motivated to persevere and learn. Education has become so diverse that the teacher and textbook alone will not suffice. A better academic recipe is in order. We nourish our bodies by eating every day. Sometimes we do not eat the proper foods, which are rich with vitamins and minerals to sustain our health, and as a result, we become sick. In these instances, a doctor would generally recommend taking a daily multivitamin to supplement our diet and give us a little extra boost of health. Students experience the same. Some get all the educational nutrition they need and some do not, and thus those lacking actually struggle. Teachers and textbooks are the core fundamentals that maintain learning, but some students need an academic vitamin to boost their learning experience. Even those who are already academically fit can benefit. In his book, The Tipping Point: How Little Things Can Make a Big Difference, author Malcolm Gladwell discusses how society, especially marketers, make information stick so that people remember and use the product. He calls this the stickiness factor. Teachers, in a way, are marketers. They share and exchange a product, which is knowledge, to their clients, which are the students. The problem is, with so many students dropping out, and even those who do not drop out but still perform poorly, the obvious assumption is that something is not sticking. We can only work to make academic stickiness a bigger focus in the classroom. Educators and school committees should begin to require the following resources and examine their own curricula to determine what potentially works and what currently is not working. Home economics, life skills, study periods, these are still around. These dated courses were once relevant during a time where educational goals were different. Women are now encouraged to be equal players in the workforce rather than learning to sew curtains and roast a turkey. Times have changed, and so should education. These domestic lessons can be easily taught at home. While students are learning to balance a checkbook, they could be confronting the material they have learned in class. Educators can use more fulfilling means of educational nutrition by implementing mandatory productive study periods, which could range from using the internet to accompany lessons, apprenticing with school faculty, informing or joining academic-based student groups that apply class content to better serve the community. Such technological innovations such as video conferencing through the internet is cost-efficient and beneficial. Students have the ability to communicate directly with other students and tutors worldwide. How exciting would it be to discuss politics and world issues with a student from Europe, or receive extra language tutorials from a Japanese student? Since higher education is increasingly becoming globalized, the necessity to prepare high school students to start thinking globally is also important. Course websites would also be a great idea for high school students. Ideally, they'd have access to their classes outside the classroom. Students can access lesson plans past and present, view homework assignments, take practice quizzes, engage in online tutorials, find helpful links related to the subject matter, communicate through discussion threads with other classmates, and contact the teacher for additional questions and concerns. At the present time, schools do offer these, but not all teachers participate, and the ones that do only offer limited information. Requiring a course website would allow students to have 24-hour access to their class and would take away the restrictions of being confined to the classroom. Apprenticeships are also another great way for students of all learning abilities to get better use of their time in school. This is a resourceful opportunity, actually, for both students and faculty. The students obtain a better exposure in subjects that interest them the most. For instance, a history teacher can create a PowerPoint presentation for his teacher based on the notes of that particular lesson plan. The information is then introduced and also repeated, making it stickier. Simple tasks such as photocopying handouts can also introduce students to other academic works that are outside of a textbook. Another wonderful model of education for getting those fixed students motivated into learning process and to find themselves would be to require students to participate in a community-based academic student club. The widespread popularity of socially isolated hobbies such as video gaming makes community involvement less appealing to the youth. While the idea of volunteering is daunting to those students who are not motivated to learn outside of school hours, requiring them to do so would encourage them to find themselves and establish connections within the community, which is essential for success in post-secondary education. Community service allows them to learn through experience. It too is a process. The right means of academic tools exist through technology and community, which will appeal to students who are of both the growth and fixed mindsets. Students of the growth mindset will enrich their learning, and students of the fixed mindset will get another chance for academic success. Through the aforementioned proposed educational requirements, which involve effort, process, and experience, the fixed student learns that life is not without failure, regardless of IQ. Success is not always represented by a letter. Rather, it is actually the result of overcoming setbacks through trial and error.